Welcome to today's MI Moment. Are you a natural cheerleader? I think I was born that way. So it was a huge surprise when I discovered that cheerleading can actually backfire sometimes when you're trying to help people. So the other day, I'm out walking with my kids, and suddenly a bug flies into my youngest's eye, and he starts to cry and break down. He was already getting tired and asking when the walk would be over, and this really sent him over the edge. He was a hot mess, drooling, snot pouring out of everywhere, and he sat down, refusing to walk another step, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs, "I hate walking! I can't do this anymore!" This well-intentioned neighbor who was getting her mail, she smiled and shouted over to him, "Hey, you've got this, buddy." To which he immediately yelled back at an even louder pitch, "No, I don't got this." The neighbor looked at me and said, "Good luck." Okay, so how does all this relate back to coaching and motivational interviewing? Think about how it feels inside when the person that you're coaching is struggling emotionally and not doing super well. Speaking for myself, I know that when this happens, my instinct is to be like that neighbor who, was trying to be kind to my kid. I want them to feel better, and partially because it feels uncomfortable for me. I might be tempted to try to cheer them up and say something like, "Hey, it's all right. You just keep pushing and you'll make it work." Now, for some people, this might actually feel supportive. For others, though, and as my son demonstrated so clearly, this approach backfires. I learn so much from my children, and I'm grateful that they feel safe enough to allow their true emotions to be known. So, what we want to do in our coaching is really move towards acceptance. That fixing reflex can kick in with our cheerleader urge because we don't like how the person is feeling and we want to change it. So, what acceptance looks like is more like, "I see and understand how you're feeling, and I'm with you." Have you ever just been really upset and someone told you to just calm down? Empathy is the way that we can demonstrate our understanding and acceptance. The person that we're trying to support, whether it's a child mid-tantrum or a frustrated adult, will tend to be stuck there until we can reflect back to them that we really get it. Trying to move towards resolution too quickly can sometimes make it worse. They're going to want to prove their point even more vehemently because clearly you don't understand what's going on. So, this is one of the reasons why we always lead with empathy, and it's especially important to do so when emotions are running on high. So, going back to my child throwing the fit, here's what ended up happening. As I sat down on the sidewalk next to my bawling son, he pushed me away when I tried to comfort him, screamed when I tried to wipe his face, and was generally combative. I took some deep breaths to dispel my own frustration and then calmly said, "You're really tired right now, and you just don't think you can walk anymore at all." He nodded and said, "And that mean bug flew right into my eye." "Yeah, and that was the worst feeling ever because you were already feeling bad," I added. After a few more minutes, and once his crying had stalled, I asked, "What's something that would help you feel better once we get home?" Bewildered, he just shook his head. Would it be snuggling with some stuffies, having a popsicle, or maybe building a fort in the living room? I offered. He chose the popsicle, and we were on our way. Looking at this scenario from the motivational interviewing lens, I invite you to just break it down and identify what's happening in my coach brain in each moment. Take a moment to kind of check it out. You can hit pause. And then my next slide is going to break it down. So as I sat down on the sidewalk next to him, he pushed me away and was generally combative. I took some deep breaths to dispel my own frustration and then calmly said, "You're really tired right now and you just don't think you can walk anymore at all." So those deep breaths was my own self-awareness and attempts at sort of grounding myself and my self-care. And then I offered that empathic reflection, which he responded to. So I gave him some more empathy. Yeah, and that was the worst feeling ever because you were already feeling bad. And I just paused, kind of let him, process that, let it settle in. And then because I didn't want to just wallow in the yuck, I thought I would try to throw out an open-ended question, really sort of trying to get him to solve his own problem. He didn't really know at that point. So what I did next was just offer him some options so that I could be supportive, be a helpful guide, but also help to maintain his sense of autonomy. So thank you so much for listening and allowing me to share my own learning and growth process in hopes that it can be supportive in your coaching practice. Wishing you so much ease this week and see you next time.